All right, guys, so we're going to be talking about materials today. What you guys want to do is open up the starter map and put in this SM Mat Preview Mesh 02, and you want to drop it right in the middle there. And materials are a special thing that are in games, specifically in 3D programs. And does anyone know what a material is? Yeah, maybe? No? You want to try? Go for it.
Like it's like a texture kind of? What it looks like?
Yeah, well, materials contain textures, definitely. Yeah? Patrick?
The combination of parameters that make the visual style of an object, so
Yeah.
the texture, the normal mapping, the height mapping.
Yeah. So a material is the aggregation of multiple different points of data. Some of this data is how reflective a surface is, how much light it produces, what color it is, what kind of texture is in it, for instance. But not all materials require images or textures. Some of them, some materials are animated, some materials are not. So a material is the way that the engine renders out a surface. So it's every surface in the game has a material on it, and it's the way that the game engine renders out when you play the game for real. So for materials, if you notice, we've got this prefab object, and, well, not prefab, excuse me, prop, not in Unity anymore. And then in the right-hand side, we have a details panel, and we have two materials in here. We have material sphere plane and M material sphere. And the way Unreal works, which is really cool, like this is new, the new frontier, and it sounds like it sounds like the only way it's been, but it's not this way for a long time. So it's very cool. There's this feature. Anytime you export out an object that has multiple materials from any sort of 3D program, Maya for instance, it will package up all those materials and allow you to assign them individually in Editor, assuming you name them everything correctly, which is super useful because now if we go into our materials section and we select M metal gold for instance and we drag it onto element 0, it will automatically skin, or not. There you go. Took a second. It'll automatically skin this object with gold. But if you notice, there's also this other part. So let's do copper and gold. That usually looks good. Oh, whoops. That's floor. I deselected it. So this material right now on the interior, if you notice on the little sphere, there's a little yellow part. That's the U, and then the gray. So if we drop this in here, now we made this face copper, completely copper. So we can really quickly change up stuff. And this is really, really important. Like, do you guys remember old 2D games where like you would run into a red ninja and then you run into the same looking blue ninja, but he'd have a different move? That's the same idea. We use materials a lot so we can get more life and longevity out of our meshes, which are more expensive to make than a material. Auto-saving. So let's, instead of opening any of those and looking at them, because it's kind of confusing at first, let's create a new material. I'm just going to start creating the main folder. I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to select Material. And I'm going to name this Ken's Material. Ken Material. Okay. And now I'm going to drag it onto my metal. And if you notice, there's a little checker box. So this checker box is not actually, I mean, like that is what it will visually show you, but it is not a texture, or it's not any visual representation other than the fact that there is nothing there. There's nothing inside that material. So it's just giving you a default view of what's going on. Now let's double click on it, and open it up, and you'll get to the material editor. So in the material editor, this is the way that Unreal scripting works. Unreal scripting is really, really valuable. It's a visual scripting system, and this will be the start of where blueprints you'll start seeing, you'll start creating blueprints. You'll start being able to program in certain aspects of a material or a gameplay or whatever. It's all done through this editor. So you're gonna get really used to this stuff. This area, hopefully. So if we take a look through here, we've got a couple different things. We've got connectors, live preview, a couple buttons in your menu. The most important thing for you guys is this right-hand panel. So you've got the palette. What the palette is it's the access to every command you can possibly put inside this area. So get ambient cube map tint. Now that's there. And if you notice, I can click and drag it around, and I can connect them differently using these little arrows. So I can connect that over here or whatever. So I'm going to delete that just because that'll totally mess it up. I have no idea what cube map ambient tints do. Also, it'll do very little to this material right now. So the other thing you'll notice is this little button on the right, or this little letter on the right-hand side that some of them have. Those are hotkeys. So it'll teach you how or where all the hotkeys are, which is super, super useful as you get into the workflow. All right. Let us move into the first part. Oh, whoops. Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to assign it a color. So to do that, we need to feed in some information to the base color. Now, you guys all know RGB, right? Red, green, blue. It's a it's a value. It's three values, three number values. So we're going to use that. We're going to use a vector 3, or I think they use 3 vector here. Yeah. Constant 3 vector. And we're going to just drag it in here. You can also use the hotkey 3. Holding down 3 and then clicking will also create it for you. I'm just deleting 1. All right. So we've got this value, or we've got this thing. Now, this is not a color specifically, right? This is just 3 numbers. But because base color accepts 3 numbers as its color, we will be able to pick from here what we want. And I'm going to pick a nice, beautiful magenta. Oh. Except I'm going to hit OK this time instead of the X button. Come on. What's that? Am I not doing something? Oh, thank you very much. That's what was happening. Yeah, my alpha value or whatever. Thank you very much. All right. So now we are going to grab this and we're going to attach it to base color. And if you notice in our live preview, it is now changed. And if we go back into our main editor, I think it'll take a second to load, but it should update. Maybe. Oops. Yeah, probably apply. Apply might be a good button. And now it'll rebuild the materials and maybe poof. There you go. Beautiful. So you guys have now all successfully made a texture, or at least a color, a material. If you guys notice, the surface of this a little weird, right? It's kind of really flat, and the reason why that is is because we need to still add a lot more. So what I am going to do is go to constants. And I'm going to just drag out a constant. And this is just a number. Yeah, Damon.
How did you get back from the material?
Back from, oh, so the material editor is a window inside of Unreal, so you got to move it over. I'm using one monitor right now, just because we're mostly working in this. So, but we will switch back over to the editor back and forth.
Where was apply?
Oh, apply is up here in the top left.
Mine's grayed out.
Oh, well, that's cool.
That would just mean that it's already applied.
Yeah, go to your and click. Yeah, click it. Oh yeah, you have to actually use the material on the thing.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, it just whatever. All right, so we have this constant. This constant is just a number, and I'm gonna apply. Let's do like metallic. All right. So we're gonna give it a little metallic sheen. I think I might need to add it. Oh wait, I have to apply again.
You have to set it up more than 0.
What was that?
You have metallic set on 0.
True. And I have metallic set on 0, so I'm gonna update this a little bit. I'm gonna make this Command Alt. Oh, that's cool.
Move up the window a little bit.
What was that?
Move up the window a little bit, and then it's underneath the picture of the wall.
Sorry, I turned it into parameter.
So if you move up the materials with it,
Oh yeah.
that's what it is.
Oh yeah. Well, I could do that too, I guess. Whatever. A little bit shinier. Let's also do roughness, maybe. I just copy pasted. I'm gonna do roughness. It's okay. This will become more clear once we use a real texture. But let's just see what happens if it makes much of a difference. It probably will not right now, just because it's straight up color. It's a little bit different, a little shinier. Really got to move this window over. All right. All right, so now instead of this color, let us do something a little bit more useful. Let us delete that. And we are going to go find ourselves a texture. Sample. So if we select texture sample, now if you notice, texture sample's got a little bit more detail. We've got RGB, we've also got alpha, which is this bottom one, and this is the main node out. And right now we have nothing in the texture. But we are going to go to our textures in our starter content, and we're going to look for wood. How about pine? Pine wood. Let's see if I can apply, or get back to that window. We're going to take this, drop it in. Oh, come on. Wrong window. Down here in the materials expression texture base. There we go. By the way, everything that we're adding in this window gets added to the details menu so that you can edit them out from there, which is very helpful to know. And we're going to attach these UVs to base color. Now we have wood. Let's press OK. I keep forgetting to hit apply. There we go. Classy, yeah. But if you notice, it's a little bit flat, right? Like, it's nice high-res photo. It's got some good wood grain on it, but and we've got, you know, a little roughness, a little metallic. So it's got some stuff going on, but there's not as much there. So the other thing we're going to do is we are going to add a normal map. So we're going to add another texture sample. And we're going to add in the normal map. So if you guys, for those who don't know, this is what a normal map looks like. A normal map is a way for the computer to generate nooks and crannies where there are only flat areas. And this is the way that the data is represented on a texture. So when we add that in, which I did not do correctly, I'm gonna just drag the UV from the other area. I just dragged it in. So now we've got this. We're going to just connect this out to our normal and hit apply. And hopefully we'll see a little bit more detail now. Whoa. Yeah, see, like, it might be a little hard to tell from on my screen, but you see like this nice little crack in the wood. You can kind of see how there's a little bit more complexity to it. All right. All right. So let's make this a little bit more interesting. I'm going to double click on our, or not double click. I'm going to trying to see if I can open it up. Oh well. All right. Anyway, I'm going to do a lerp. So I'm going to delete my roughness here. And I'm going to create a lerp. I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one I want. Okay, so what is a lerp, Ken? Why, good thing you asked. A lerp is a really weird thing. Linear interpolate, but so you understand what it is, at least a little bit better. This is it. All right, good. Now we're done. No, so the way linear interpolate works is that it kind of blends things together. And allows you to, so y is equal to x up here. And it's kind of averaging them together. This is all the really cool programming stuff that I'm sure you're interested in. But let's take this texture sample. We're going to take the alpha of our texture sample and just plug it into this alpha. And we are going to just assign some numbers to our lerp. Contrast B is going to be 0.4. And we're going to plug this into roughness. The reason why we're doing this is because it gives it a little bit more. I'm going to get rid of the metallic now. It gives us a little bit more texture on our material. And the reason why we're taking the alpha is because the alpha layer, if I can pull it out, stop previewing node. Sorry, I forget how to open these guys up in this editor.
Texture,
What was that?
double click on the texture at the bottom left.
Maybe. Ah, yeah, it is. Hey, where do you go? Do you use Unreal at all?
What?
Just
Yeah,
teasing.
maybe a little.
Thank you. All these hotkeys. This is just the stuff that you have to learn when you're working through it. So, new stuff. Anyway, so let's take a look at our texture. You can't. Oh, there we go. If I go to View, we've got red, green, blue, and alpha. So we're just gonna look at alpha, or the opposite. We're gonna not look at alpha apparently. So this is our alpha texture. And our alpha texture is anything between 0 and 1, right? So the values are either black or white on our texture. So this gives us really great data to plug in to other stuff when we're looking at, you know, those nooks and crannies or whatever, because most of the time those are the things that are highlighted. And in that way we can use it for our roughness in a way that you couldn't use just a regular picture, like the red, green, or blue values. Anyway, apply, save. Let's see what this looks like. A little bit better. All right. Now there's one more thing I want you guys to do. Oh, right. We have to hook these two together. Apologies. So right now our textures may or may not be lining up properly. So we want to use a texture coordinate. Oops, if I can spell it. That is not what I'm looking for. Maybe it is. Yeah, it is. Okay. So Command Alt. Texture coordinate expressing output UV texture coordinates is the form of a two-channel vector value allowing materials to use different UV channels, specifically tiling and otherwise operating UV meshes. I'm realizing you guys might not know what UVs are and stuff. I will tell you in one moment. First, we're going to just do it, and then I'll show you what it means. Or I'll talk to you about texture coordinates. We're just going to plug these into both texture samples. There you go. So, on any 3D model, we're going to have textures. And in textures, or we're going to have, let me just look at the picture. Easier to show you that way. So the way UVs work is that we have to figure out how to paint on top of 3D objects, right? But 3D objects are not flat, and therefore it is hard to paint on them because they also don't exist in real life, right? Like they only exist in the computer, so we can't just pick them up and turn them around and paint them by hand. So what we have to do is we have to unwrap textures. And an unwrapped texture looks quite different. Oh, this is a very good one. Thank you, RMIT. So an unwrapped texture allows you to paint on a body, and this one's not completely done because if you see the forehead's kind of skewed like that, this needs to be fixed because everything should kind of look like a square at the end. But it gets all unwrapped. And that way we can paint on each piece individually and only with the minimum amount of skewing. So like the faces, those are the things that look the most weird. This is what faces usually look like. But it all kind of comes back together, right? I'm realizing that other people, not video game people, never see this, so it might be really fun. Someone should do an art exhibit. They should print these out or something, like, I don't know, in skin, something like that. Yeah, you can print skin, right? Anyway, here's another example: the model, the unwrap, and this is the texture on top of the model. So these grids are another version of the grid system. Okay. So that's very straightforward. How to use pictures? How do you stick them into your engine? You guys are totally able to use any available material, or sorry, any textures that you find online. So if you find anything with like a normal map and a photo, that's great. So like free textures, normals, opengameart.org. There's a bunch of textures in this pack. You know, not all of them are going to be high res or whatever, but if you're coming across stuff that you wanted to use, feel free to use them. Just make sure that you credit where credit is due. So you can grab this one, you know. But this way you can set up any texture you want. You can mess around with a lot of different features, not a lot of which I'm going over today, but we're going to do two more things. We're going to do decals, and then we're going to do we're going to do decals, and then we're going to, if we have time, we're going to do the Tron kind of glow look, okay? The one other thing that you guys might want to look into that I'm not going to cover today is masking. Masking is a way to get more out of it. It's just one of the next steps. I suggest you go out and take a look at the masking styles, but I mean, just quickly, I guess. So if we add another texture sample, yeah, I guess I'll just show it to you now. So if we add another texture sample, and this time we're going to actually go over and we're going to find this guy, T ceramic tile. And this looks really weird, right? Not something that necessarily would just work. But the way this works is that, remember when I was talking about those RGB alpha values? So when you're programming, you're trying to save space. And when you're an artist, this is a technique that you're going to find, texture packing technique, that you'll find in professional level stuff, but you guys may or may not end up implementing them. That's why I kind of was hesitant to show you, just because it's not super necessary, but you'll come across it a lot. So you'll see like red's got just a grid. Green's got this weird grid. Blue's got a different version. Alpha is just blank. So, and all together, they make all these weird colors. But separately, we can use them to texture out what we want to do a little bit better. So we can use, in other words, we can take this texture, combine it with the wood texture, or combine it with any other texture we want, and we can make ourselves, you know, a different, cooler look. So we are going to combine the red value, and we have to first create a multiply. So the way we're going to do that this time, we're going to click the red value, we're going to drag out here, and we're going to let go. And then we got the menu. And we're going to select a multiply. And then we're going to take our UV texture coordinate from up here, and we're going to plug it into A, or into B, excuse me. And then we're going to take this and we're going to bring it back into here. Look at that. This is our preview node. Now we've got some edges. Let's apply that. So we kind of like made paneling. That's kind of cool. So let's fix up this paneling a little bit, because like it looks a little flat right now. Like it doesn't look like it kind of matches with the rest of the texture. The normals aren't there, anything like that. So let's go grab another texture sample. This one I have to look up because I forget which one it is. I think it's just the... Trying to grab a normal map. Oh wow. Oh, there it is. T ceramic tile, blah blah blah. I'm gonna drag that into my editor. I think that this is the one we want. Might be wrong. All right. Mask. Component mask. All right. So we are going to only take the some of this texture. And I just want to open this up, make sure that it's pulling it. Okay, good. So if you notice, we've got that in there. And then we are going to, right click, mask, and it's component mask at the bottom, vector ops. All right. And we're actually only going to get R and G. We're not going to use B, just because that's the way the mask works. Oops. So you can select certain ones that you want to pass in. So, which is cool. But here's the problem. In order to get a normal, you need to get the normal. The normal data requires RGB. So we've removed some of our data from our texture sample because we only want part of it. And now we have to put it back together appropriately. So we are going to create an append. An append means what? People who speak English?
Add to the end.
Good job.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, person who spoke English. Just append. Append vector. Because it's it's 3 number value. And then we're just going to create whoa. We're going to create a constant. That can be 0. And now, I think we have to append again. No, add. And we're going to connect out our normal maps. Hopefully this works. Come on, just do it. There you go. That looks a little bit better. Kind of shiny. I mean, like the little nooks. When I hit apply. take a look at in our editor. It's pretty cool. So the one other thing I want to do, now that I have this texture coordinate system, is I think that these panels are a little bit too closely spaced together. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, by selecting my texture coordinate and going in here, I'm going to go to tiling. I'm going to just double that. Oops, and then I will forget to hit apply. Why not do it? Maybe 3. Oh no, whoops. Sorry, my other way. Other way around, I think. 0.5. One of these makes them small or bigger. Ah. Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing wrong. Yeah. Maybe? Alright, well, I'm not sure why that's doing that, but it should be spreading out. My apologies. That is not doing as I wanted to. But that is the command for it. Okay, anyway. A little bit closer. Does that make sense, guys? Materials so far? It gets really complicated really fast. So it's important to make sure that we understand, you know, at least the basic concepts of how to grab a texture, how to grab a color, how to put them into the material editor. Save. So let's make ourselves a new material. First thing we need to do, of course, is to find ourselves what was I looking for? Sorry, I lost my train of thought as we were switching over. All right, we're gonna find ourselves a texture that we can place down. Yeah, that looks cool. I'm just looking for a decal. So we're gonna create a new material. Right click. Material, we'll call it decal, Ken's decal. I'm gonna open that up. This one's actually much more straightforward. It's also just less useful. It's useful, but it's just less useful than a material is. And we are going to find a texture. Sample. And we are going to select whatever we want, but for this we will pick something. I think that T-burst looks okay. That looks kind of cool. And then we are going to select the material. Oops, that's just the texture. Ah, what just happened? All right. We're gonna connect that to the base color. So now we have the material. It looks weird. And then we are just going to select the material domain, and we're gonna go to deferred decal, which is in this little left-hand section, deferred decal. And we're gonna save it. And hopefully we should just be able to drag that decal onto the world. Whoa. There we go. Oh, right now it's the black is being weird. But if you notice, do you notice how the table has that halo on it? And as does, hopefully, this sphere. We'll move the sphere over, or we'll move the texture over a little bit. See how it's overlapping our sphere now as well? So when we're using decals, it's super helpful for like blood spatters, things like that. But you can actually overlay stuff on top of multiple objects at once, which is one of the nice things about decals. And you can move, you can kind of use this interface to move it around. You can scale it up and down. And it'll stick to the face. Oops, unless I move it around too much with the wrong control. There you go. Does that make sense? Cool. So the thing that you can use the decals for the most are stuff on the wall that doesn't really require a model or whatever, right? So for instance, like a poster or a sticker or something, you don't have to do a whole new texture. All you have to do is make a little decal, stick it right where you need it to go.
Can you go back to the like this group?
Yeah, it's just very straightforward. I just grabbed a picture.
Oh, okay.
It's the special part here is deferred decal. That's the important part. Yeah. All right. Oh, you know what? I think we have enough time. I want to do glass. Yeah, let's do glass as well. So I'm just going to use the same material, just because it's not super important that I have a decal that says decal. So I'm going to change this back to surface. And we don't need a texture. All right. Sorry, I'm just looking up my script for it. All right. So first thing let's get the vector. Oh, sorry, 3 vector, not vector 3, because, you know, why make things the same? Why make stuff different? And we are going to put it to, and this is actually quite important. You'll get the numbers afterwards, don't worry. But it's going to be 0.0005. 0.01. I think that's it. I don't think there's anything on the blue value. Believe it or not, this is going to do something. See that? I'm going to attach it to the base color. And why don't we actually apply, oops, we have to save first. Yes, apply, save. Whoa, crash, no? Okay, good. Okay. All right. And I'm just gonna delete this decal in the world so that I can apply it correctly later. guy, oh, let me select it first. Still used to really all the Unity hotkeys and stuff. It's very sad. All right, so not very glass-like yet, but let us continue. Perhaps we can get it there. All right. So we're gonna grab a couple more constants. So so you guys know, there is a chart online. I don't know how it lines up with all this stuff, but every single thing reflects light differently. Like you guys, when you guys look at someone's human skin, you guys can see the veins underneath, right? Yeah? So the reason why you can see the veins is because light is penetrating your skin and bouncing off of the vein and back into your eyeballs. And the only way it can do that is because your skin is partially see-through. And the same way glass is. But it's just different numbers, basically. So we're going to go with, I think it's 0.1. Oh, variable's down here. 0.1, or nothing apparently. 0.1. There you go. We're going to attach that to metallic. Where are my other numbers? And we're going to get sorry, it's kind of hard to read. Took screenshots. This one is going to be like, I think 1. Connect specular. Gonna create another constant. And roughness. Think roughness? Yeah. .1 on roughness. And then I think this is actually a large number, like 26 or something. Ooh, there we go. Much shinier. That looks much better. That's what I was looking for, specular. Alright, let's save that. Let's just see what's going on. Okay, now it looks kind of like a shiny metal thing. That's getting closer to what we want. So let us create a Fresnel, which is a math thing, and I will not get into more of it because I would have to look it up too. But the 0 to 1 thing is important. So the value is up to 1. And then we're going to connect that out. Oh boy, where was it? Oh, actually, we're going to have to do a little bit more work before that. We're going to keep this Fresnel over here for a minute. We have to do a little bit more work. We have to create a lerp first. And this lerp is going to go into opacity. And then we are going to create another constant. That's going to go in there. This guy is going to be 0.5. create another one for another couple constants. This guy is going to be 0.008. Sorry there's not more logic to this one, but it's just a bunch of numbers that will kind of create glass based off math and how light reflects off stuff and how the engine, fills in the details. And then, we need a lerp. That's A, that's B, and then connect that guy out to, I believe it is pixel depth offset, but I want to double check. Oh no, refraction, excuse me. Depth. Okay. We're not done yet. Still haven't used that Fresnel. So we're going to grab this. We're going to plug it into the alpha channel. And we're also going to do that for the other lerp function. And then we're going to create another number, because we just love constants.
Can you press 1 on your keyboard and click, and it'll make a single number?
Oh yeah, thank you. Yes, you say that louder for everyone else.
The hotkey for just like one number is just 1, hold down 1 and click.
Yep.
Because it happens to fit constantly there.
Oops.
If it's moving.
Oh, maybe I grabbed the wrong Fresnel. This doesn't look like the right one. Fresnel function, excuse me. You need to grab the Fresnel function. My bad. Still have to connect them to alpha though. And connect this up to power. And we're going to make this 1.5. Yeah.
I don't have Fresnel function.
You don't?
I'm not sure.
It should be under vector ops. It's underscored, so.
I only have Fresnel and Vector.
What are you? Which one are you in? Yeah. You maybe go to vector ops just for a moment. Sorry. Just hit X. And then just go again. Ops. Fresnel. Does anyone else not have Fresnel? The function? No? Okay. Damon is very special today. You and Sabby can just hang out together, I
I
guess.
also don't have the pixel option on this.
Weird.
Refraction.
Weird. Okay. Let me Google this right now because that seems very odd. Yeah, no, I mean it should just be there. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Damon. All those functions should just be loaded in there automatically. Troubleshoot. Is there any way to fix this? using. No. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Damon. You'll just have to follow along without that part, without that function. All right. I think that this is it. Let's save and apply and just see where we're at. Oh, I guess saving applies. Okay. This doesn't seem to be exactly the glass that I was looking for. Yeah. This is actually, I think what's happening is that there's some issues with the rendering for Max. I don't know if, is everyone else getting the same color or the same look to it, or does someone?
So mine's on the cube, but it's like translucent on the edges, but it's like too dark to like look around otherwise.
Anyone else? Yours look like mine? Okay, cool. I was worried that it was maybe a Mac thing. I think it's just I forgot what numbers I'm supposed to put in thing.
You're gonna have to change something about the material, so like whether that's changing the blend mode to
Yeah.
translucent or something.
Well, it should be translucent. Yeah, it is just translucent. Oh wait, no. Well, that might have been why. Yeah, there you go. Good job, Patrick, on the little details. There we go. Much more glass-like. Yeah, so the thing that we were picking up on was in your material, the blend mode is to translucent. What was that? Yeah.
I'm definitely holding on to that picture.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I want to show you glass specifically. Because out of all the crap that you guys are going to need to know, I think probably making glass is the most applicable straight away.
Do you eventually understand the meaning of all these lines?
Nope, but I will go through them right now. Okay, so it's basically like this. This is all just a representation of the way your eye takes in light. Okay? So up here, we've got metallic, specular, roughness, refraction. These are all technical terms about how light and color and stuff like that reacts with, you know, it bounces off things, you know? So, trying to think of a good example of like something on campus that you guys, well, I can't really. Actually, how about like a sunset, right? Like light is just all a sunset is light bouncing off at a different angle, right? So for refraction, I'm not gonna look up the technical definitions. You guys can do that. So, refraction, metallic, all mirrors are actually pieces of metal usually, and they are the stuff that's on top of them is glass, and the glass is there to protect the very shiny metal so that you don't scratch it and whatever. So that's actually how mirrors work. It's not just glass. Surprise. So specular is the amount of like glossiness. You know, roughness is the small differentiations through it, which I mean all glass has. Glass is not perfect. Perfect glass would look completely transparent, right? And some glass manufacturer somewhere is trying to make perfect glass at some point. But until we get there, I mean, like, you know, guys who run through plate glass windows at like the gym because they didn't see the window, that, you know, kind of thing, right? So that's because the glass refracts at a certain angle. That's also why they put bars across most of the, or something. Like,
went to the hospital. Like he was torn up. He looked like he went through like a very tiny